Hey guys, how's it going? So it's been a while since I've done a DIY video, but I figured today would be a good day for this project that I happen to be working on. This is my Mazda Miata here, and a lot of people do this modification, but I haven't really seen too many videos. There's a couple of good posts on forums about it, but anyway, I'm going to do a rear bumper cut. And what that is, these rear bumpers act as a huge air trap. Just the way that they're shaped, and it's the same way on a lot of cars, but on a lot of less performance-oriented cars, it doesn't really matter. And so I really like the way that this looks when you do this modification, and it actually helps get some of that trapped air out from underneath the car, creating less turbulence. So we'll go ahead and look at the back of the car, and I'll show you how to get it masked off. And there's a couple of different ways to go about this. Some people like a square cut, some people like a rounded cut. I'm going to go for the rounded this time, and I'll show you how I came to the radius that I chose, and then we'll go from there. Now that we're here at the back of the car, you can see I have a couple areas masked off, and the reason I want to mask it off is when you go to actually make your cuts, it can be a little hard on the paint and chip it up a little bit. So if you mask it off like this, that helps save the edge of the paint there. We are going to do something that's going to finish up that cut edge once I get done. I have this trim stuff, and this is the same kind of thing you would use for the edging on your door, so when you to help prevent door dings and stuff like that. I like to use this. It's just black, and I like to use it on the edge. It really helps because you can get this smooth, but I always worry about that little bit of hard edge on the paint. It could potentially flake up. So if you use this edging, it helps save that edge from ever being a paint issue. So how did I get to this point with the masking? If you go underneath here, there is a crash bar, which is the, I don't know if this one's aluminum or not, but there's a crash bar underneath here, and you want to go and find the edge of that crash bar. And once you find the edge of the crash bar on each side, unless your car has been in a serious wreck, it should be even on each side. So what you do is, if you have, the first time I did this, I did it with a razor blade. And so you take one of those little pencil razor blades and you stick it on that edge, the flat edge of the crash bar, and then you slide it out and actually push it through the edge of the bumper. And you do that on each side, and then that gives you a level line. So you'll have a little hole here and a little hole here. Those are on the same plane because you did it off of the crash bar, which is bolted to the chassis. And then once you have those two holes, you can run this straight edge across from those two holes. This time I did not have a razor blade to do that, so what I ended up doing was I measured I measured from the edge of this tow hook mount, and I measured from the edge of this tow hook mount up to the crash bar to see how high the crash bar was to the bottom of this tow hook. Well, I found that measurement, and then I transferred that over to here on the outside, and I just took a little Sharpie and marked it, and I did the same on both sides. I verified off of this straight edge of the trunk lid down that they were in about the same spot. And so, like I said, the razor blade method is the best and the easiest, but there are other ways. As long as you get the holes on the same on each side, you can run this long piece of tape across for a straight line. Now, some people, this is where they'll take it, they'll go from this straight line straight down. They want a squared off edge, and that's fine, and that effectively is answering the problem of the air turbulence underneath here. So there's probably a 4-inch pocket where the bottom lip of this bumper is catching air that's gotten underneath the car. So you're going to answer the problem of that air pretty much if you just squared that off. You're getting that stagnant air out from under there. But I like to finish it off a little bit more and have a radiused taper. Especially, I think it looks good if you have a car with the mud flaps. it kind of helps draw your eye to the mud flap once you get the cut completed. So now, how did I get a nice radius? Well, in this tape, you can't see the radius line, but that's just there. I'll show you in a second why the tape looks like that. So if you come over to the exhaust side, there's a factory cutout for where the tailpipe comes through. Well, I like to just, that radius is already there, and it gives me a good starting point. So what I like to do is go to the very edge of where that muffler, the exhaust cutout is, and then if I could just trace an imaginary radius matching that cutout to the hole that I made, that'll finish off my edge. So the way I did it smoothly is I just took a scrap piece of paper. I did this with cardboard before, and that works. And this is just like a little thick piece of an instruction manual. I held the full sheet of paper up here, and then rough traced out the line that I wanted. Then I took this and cut it out, and when you cut it, you can smooth out all of your tracing marks so that it's a little cleaner. And then even more so, once you put it up here to the car, all you have to do is, this is your finished corner down here to the radius of the exhaust cutout, and then you have your other terminating end at the hole that you made, either with the razor blade or a drill bit, whatever. So once you line these up, it's really easy to transfer your radius to the bumper cover. Now, like I said, because of the cutting and the way it can damage the paint, I went ahead and put everywhere that this line is going to hit, I made sure to put masking tape there to, again, prevent the paint from getting damaged. So now that you have this template, you can use it for both sides, and then you know for a fact that your radius is going to match. So you take this, mark your first side, flip it over so it's a mirror. Don't accidentally get your corners crossed, because then you will have a different radius. And then that side, because you don't have an end of the exhaust cutout, all you have to do is line it up to the edge of your bumper cover at the bottom side. And that is essentially doing the same thing as you did on this side. You have a nice terminating like stop point and start point. So you mark all those out, and then we're going to go ahead and make this cut, and we'll come back and see how it looks. After you get it cut, you'll realize that you have a ton of plastic, melted plastic shavings everywhere. Go ahead and sweep those up, get them out of your way, and you'll be left with this. What I like to do after I cut it, you'll realize that there's like a bunch of melted plastic and little dried, like so where it melted and then it dried back, kind of crusty bits of plastic. If you take I had this little utility knife. If you take just the blade out and you use it as a scraper, you can just scrape along the edge, and that takes care of all those little frayed bits. If you go underneath the car, you'll notice if you cut it the way that I did, sorry for the shaking camera, you'll notice that there's these little tabs underneath, and if you cut right above those, you can salvage them, and then that way you'll be able to save them to help hold the bumper cover firmly in place. Again, you can cut higher, and some people like that. Some people like the squared off edge, but I went ahead and did it this way. Now I'm going to pull off the masking, and now we'll finally get a view of what we're working with, because the tape kind of hides some of the finished product. So let me get this tape started. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. I'll pull you up a little bit closer, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about of why I did this masking and why you could run into potential issue if you don't. So as you see here, where it's kind of chips the edge a little bit, You could take your time, sand all this down, trying not to put too much heat into the bumper cover, because again, if you do that, you'll just be melting it instead of taking off that rough edge that you're actually wanting to take off. So now I'm going to go ahead and get that trim put on there, and what I like to do is take a little bit of black paint and anything that you're going to see. So like this tow hook, it's painted a little bit on the bottom but not all the way. Now that you have the ability to see that, I want to go ahead and make sure that everything under here looks clean and in order. So we'll go ahead and put this trim piece on there, and we'll get this thing off the jacks, get it outside, and we'll get you a couple beauty shots. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. If you want to see more DIY stuff like this in the future, I know I used to do this like real heavy early on days in the channel and kind of got away from that, but if you want to see more of this, like, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and share. This is a really easy mod that you can do in a couple hours, and I think it really changes the look of the car. Again, don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you guys. See you later.